Layton City Council meeting, Thursday, October 2nd, 2025, 7 p.m.
Okay, you guys all ready? All right, I'd like to welcome everyone out to our Layton City Council meeting this evening, October 2nd. Our start time is 7 p.m. And as customary, we'd like to start out the meeting with a prayer and a pledge, or a pledge and a prayer. However, Ms. Councilmember Smith-Edmondson decides to conduct it. We take turns each month, and tonight I'm going to turn the time over to her. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to start with a prayer. So if you'll bow your heads, please. Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for an opportunity to come together and to do the business of the city of Layton, Utah. God, we thank you that we are able to work together, we're able to play together, to live together, and to come and convene to make sure that the residents of Layton have all of the things that they need and a lot of the things that they want that help them to make the city home. I ask that you look on all of us, help us to make the decisions that you would want us to make. Look on council members who are away, keep them safe. I ask that you would just lead us and guide us in everything that we do and just keep us safe. We thank you for the first responders that we have and for all of the folks at the city who work to help us live, our best lives. And we ask that you would just lead us and guide us. Please be with us on tonight and always. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I'll ask you to stand and repeat the pledge with me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Councilmember Smith-Edmondson, for a beautiful prayer and leading us in the pledge. Tonight, we don't really have any minutes that we need to approve, so we could go on to our municipal announcements for those that might have some. So, Council, do you have any announcements?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a handful of announcements from the Parks and Rec Department. First of all, thanks to a ramp grant, Surf and Swim has a new wave machine, and I've heard it's producing some pretty big waves, so it's great. Takes me back to my high school days, if that means anything. So go enjoy the new atmosphere at the wave pool. And calendar events, we have a handful of family recreation events coming up. First of all, October 11th will be the Spooky Swim at the Surf and Swim, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m., $3 admission. There'll be some fun Halloween-themed activities, trick-or-treating at the pool, great for family and friends. So. Also, along the Halloween lines, October 17th will be the Halloween Bash here at the Amphitheater Plaza and Commons Park and Heritage Museum. Lots of different Halloween-themed games, live music, and family fun. Free admission, 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. again, October 17th. And then the next day on Saturday, Whispers in the Dark at the Amphitheater. We will have, I believe that's in conjunction with Davis Arts Council. Lots of great storytelling. It's a full afternoon and evening, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Amphitheater. So bring the family for some great spooky stories. And then in November, spots are filling up fast, but the Turkey Bowl is going to happen at Davis Lanes November 22nd. That's a Saturday. They have open times, a few open slots for each. The last I checked, 1 p.m., 2:30, and 4 p.m. So take your family out up to 6 people per lane, and that's $25 per lane. So good bowling for the whole family. Mm-hmm. And at 4 p.m. there might be a city council challenging another city council in the area. So it should be fun. Thank you, Mayor.
Defend our position from last year. Okay. All right. Did you have an announcement as well?
Yes. Okay. This coming Monday, the Layton Communities That Care and actually the North Davis and South Davis Communities That Care, which cover all of our county, are going to be having a family dinner night. So October 6th from 6 to 8 p.m. It's free for families. It'll be in our Kaysville, so our neighbors to the south, but it'll be at Pioneer Park, and all 3 of these CTCs are coming together to participate in this. And there are also a couple of prevention events taking place for the rest of that week. All of them are free. And then we do have some classes that are beginning this month. And as I say, every meeting you can go to dbhutah.org to sign up for those. They're free, and they offer childcare as well as dinner for you and your family while you're participating in those courses.
Okay. Thank you very much. One more announcement that on behalf of myself and the entire council, as well as some citizens here in the city, we want to announce our open house for my hometown. We spoke about it and passed an initiative last council meeting, so now we're actually wanting to stand up what is called our resource center. And there will be an open house on October 9th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. And the address is 845 North, 1150 East in Layton. So just to give you kind of a quick geographical location, it's in an LDS chapel behind Fresh Markets. So we hope to have everyone come out and really understand what my hometown is about, but more importantly, to understand and work in conjunction with Communities That Cares as far as a good resource place for not only behavioral health, but all kinds of life skills. And that's the importance of this, and it's open to everyone. There are no barriers here. So please come out and support my hometown. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing that there's no more municipal or events announcement, I would like to take a point of a privilege here under verbal presentations. Unfortunately, yesterday we lost one of our longtime residents of Layton, Mr. Ronald Layton. He is a descendant of Christopher Layton, but more importantly than that, he was an employee for Layton City for 34 years as part of our fire department. In addition, 17 and a half of those years, he was the assistant chief, and at that time it was an all-volunteer force. So I'd like to just kind of take a quick moment and express our appreciation to one of our first responders. Okay, thank you. I'll now move on to our citizens' comment portion of our meeting. Under the citizens' comment, you're welcome to come up to either one of the podiums here and state your name and what city you're from. And you're welcome to kind of address the council on any topic that's not necessarily on the agenda tonight. And we try to hold those comments to 3 minutes, but certainly, we're not going to, we want to kind of make sure you get your information out to us. So at this time, I'll see if anybody's interested in addressing us.
My name is Jennifer Bazzano. I'm from here in Layton. I'm back because this doesn't seem to be making an agenda in this group of people. So first of all, I, again, thank you for the service you give to the city. I realize it's a thankless job at times, and, You hear more from the complainers than the supporters, so I do support 95% of what Layton City does, and I'm thankful to live here. However, I will say we've been fighting for 2 years now for a dog park. Layton is the biggest city in Davis County, one of the biggest advocates for multifamily housing, right? We've got high-density housing coming in faster than we can see it, especially over here where I live off the Parkway. Apartments on apartments on apartments on townhouses. You're approving them as fast as you can. I'm an advocate for people needing a place to live. I've lived in many high-density housing. I've lived in many cities in all over the U.S., but never have I lived in a city of this size with this much housing that has not had a dog park. It's crazy to me. The benefits for a dog park are above and beyond people that have a dog. The calls to animal control drop by, 60, 70%. I have that statistic. I can bring it next month. Less barking. There's less problems. There's less dog poop to pick up. Dog owners need some place to take their dogs to socialize, to meet other dog owners. I think it's irresponsible for Layton City to be pushing this out on every other city. Like, that's crazy. Them telling us, well, there's one 20 minutes away in Bountiful. Okay, but Bountiful's dog park is struggling because Layton City, Kaysville City, Farmington City is telling their citizens, go someplace else. Let somebody else's city handle it. That's so irresponsible. The last thing is, somebody mentioned last time we talked about this, that it might deter if we did a trail system, which seems to be very popular and works well in Wasatch County. It's worked great in Summit County. It works great in Salt Lake County. Salt Lake County has tons of trail systems that you can be off leash. Somebody mentioned, well, that might deter other people from coming there. Okay, but these other people have 1,000 places they can go in the city with no dogs off leash. Dogs have nothing. I think we're doing a disservice to a very large portion of Layton citizens by not putting this on the agenda and actually trying to find a solution. So, again, I do thank you for your service. I know it's not an easy job.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Hello, my name is James Linton. I have been a resident of Layton for a little over 5 years now. I have 5 homeschooled children, so they range between the ages of 13 and 5. With my children being homeschooled, one of the primary ways that they develop friendships in the community is youth sports. So because of that, I volunteer in the community coaching various sports. I've coached baseball, basketball, and soccer. About a year and a half ago, my 9-year-old daughter emerged as a very talented little soccer player. I had coached all my kids in rec league, but it became clear that Zoe should probably pursue competitive soccer. The tryouts were so well attended that the club president, who found out I coached, I don't know how he did, but he asked if I would start another team. I knew nothing about comp soccer. So I knew nothing about the licensing I would need. I started racking up costs to get myself licensed. I started repping rec league games to find girls to add to our team. Our first tournament, we didn't cross the half line. And we've done some realignment. We've combined some girls from teams. And like this last summer, we won a tournament. We placed second in another. We're easily one of the top 10 2016 girls teams in Davis County. And I wanted to share this to make clear the type of journey that many of the coaches in this city are on. One of the amazing gifts to me in this journey was finding the Layton Strikers. So the Layton Strikers are among the least expensive competitive soccer clubs. Part of the reason that they're less expensive is they're filled with people like me, people that know nothing about competitive soccer until they get started, and you'd be crazy to pay me to pay your kid to teach your kids to play soccer, right? And it's not because this isn't the case. This isn't how it is for many soccer clubs in Layton. There are many clubs who pay their coaches. Many of the clubs have their own parks, their own indoor facilities for practice. And because of this, club fees are 3 to 5 times higher for these clubs than for our club. About a year ago, I got a message from both AYSO, who I was coaching a team, and from the Layton Strikers that I wasn't allowed to practice at Woodward Park next door to my house anymore. A private football club had paid for exclusive use of the field. We moved to schools, but then several coaches started getting notices at the local schools that they had to pay for the use of the field or they couldn't practice there. Just a week ago, my soccer scrimmage was ended by the police in Syracuse because we were playing soccer in an unmarked, unused portion of a public park field. Apparently, a for-profit football club had rented the entire park. I wanted to ask you all to consider what auctioning off all the grass in the city means to volunteer-run organizations like the Strikers. We're not allowed in the schools or parks without paying. In the meantime, our property taxes maintain the very fields that are letting private for-profit organizations have exclusive use for a fee. This puts volunteer-run organizations at a severe disadvantage. I gain nothing monetarily by running a practice, and because we're auctioning off the grass, I'm running out of places to do it. So what sounds like a good idea to raise some money for the schools or the city has a significant cost. Organizations like the one I coach will have to raise their fees so that they can rent practice space. Within a few years, comp soccer won't be available to people without a six-figure income, and I think that would be a great loss. So I'm not asking the city to organize a schedule or anything, God forbid it. I'm asking the city and the school district to let a good portion of the fields remain first come, first serve like they always have been. And so that people like me who get nothing out of it, do it because we love the kids, can find a place to kick a soccer ball around that we don't have to pay for, so that we can continue to offer something like competitive soccer for kids at a more reasonable price. So thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there anyone else? Okay, seeing that there is none, I'd like to go ahead and move on then to our consent items tonight. Now, typically on this, even though we have 5 items on the agenda here, this council can act in one governing motion to take action on all of those items at once. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and start out with item number A, which is a public comment reading of the RAMP, Recreation Arts Museum and Park tax reauthorization, and Ms. Kimberly Zagma is going to present this item to us.
Good evening. So in 2015, Layton City voters approved a local sales and use tax to support RAMP initiatives. For the last 10 years, this RAMP tax has provided 0.1% sales and use tax paid by residents and non-residents alike who shop in Layton to support recreation, arts, museums, and parks in Layton. 1 penny on each $10 sold in Layton has provided over $17 million in revenues over the last 10 years, used solely to improve recreation, arts, museum, and parks for the benefit of our residents. This 10 years authorization is set to expire. In accordance with Utah Code, the city would like to submit an opinion question to voters to authorize a continuation of the local sales and use tax of 0.1%. This voter approval or reauthorization will not raise residents' tax rates. Layton City Mayor and City Council support placing an opinion question on the ballot. And as a part of this process, the public is invited to comment regarding the RAMP tax reauthorization, giving an opportunity for both sides of the question to express their opinion. Before opening the floor, I'd like to remind how RAMP has helped shape Layton through our parks by bringing more recreation, arts, and heritage to our community. Tonight we'll be sharing an overview of the last 10 years from 2016 to 2025, a decade of progress made possible through RAMP. So here's a quick overview of the allocated funding of each year since 2016. We'll be breaking down this information further in upcoming slides, but we wanted to share this overview with you first. In the past 10 years, we've allocated over $17 million to 278 grants. You'll notice that funding levels can vary from year to year, which is dependent upon the amount of sales tax collected in Layton and the number of grants and requested funding each year. This slide breaks things down by category, showing how much total funding was awarded to each area of the RAMP over the last 10 years. I'd like to note that rather than sorting by organization, we categorized each grant based on the project's purpose and how it would be used. For example, while Parks applied for a grant to install a sculpture in Commons Park, what we know as our beloved ducks, because it's a piece of public art, that funding is categorized under art. As you can see, parks receive the largest share of funding overall. That's not surprising when you consider the cost of building public spaces like trails, playgrounds, courts, and other parks amenities. These investments are high impact and highly visible. But you'll also see a strong support for arts and recreation. And that speaks to the community values of creativity, connection, and opportunities to play. And then finally, our museum category reflects how RAMP helps preserve and share Layton's history through exhibits and events. The year-by-year graph gives a quick visual of how category funding levels shifted over time. You'll notice an ebb and flow in larger investments in different categories, which allows RAMP funds to respond to both immediate needs and long-term goals. Altogether, this slide gives us a high-level snapshot of how RAMP funding has been distributed across the areas that enrich daily life in Layton. This shares the same information, but in terms of the number of grants awarded in each category. So one of the takeaways here is just how broad and accessible the arts programs have been. With 113 grants, it shows that even small-scale organization and projects have been able to benefit from RAMP. On the other hand, parks facilities tend to receive fewer but much larger grants due to the size and cost of those capital projects. They may come with a higher price tag, but they serve tens of thousands of people each year and last for decades. Together, this balance shows that RAMP isn't just about big builds or one-time events. It's about investing across the board to serve all areas of our community. RAMP funding can be spent on city-owned facilities, either new facilities or improvements on existing facilities and programs. This shows a breakdown of all that. As you can see, a significant portion of the funding has gone to facilities, particularly in parks, which are those long-term assets that benefit the public every single day. But programs haven't been overlooked. As discussed in the previous slide, arts programs alone receive over 100 grants, which is more than any other category, and helps to bring live music, theater, and films to Layton. So while facilities give us physical spaces to gather, programs are what fill those spaces with energy and connection, and RAMP funding helps us do both. And so we looked at the numbers, how RAMP funds were distributed, what categories they supported, and how these investments were balanced between facilities and programs. But sometimes the best way to understand the impact is to see it. These next few slides are visual highlights of the last 10 years. Each collage represents a different RAMP category and showcases some of the incredible projects that have come to life through Layton. Whether it's a community concert, a new trail, a new museum exhibit, or public art, each image is a reflection of what RAMP makes possible. These are the places we enjoy, the moments we share, and the memories we create thanks to the community-supported funding. For a full list of the RAMP projects, we'll just be going over some highlights, but for a full list, we do have a RAMP webpage on the Layton City website that has a whole list. It's great. So in the last 10 years, $4.5 million have gone to 33 grants to improve our recreation facilities. Everything from our baseball and softball diamonds, soccer goals, our shoreline gymnasium, our track and fitness, surf and swim, including a new wave machine that really is very awesome. On our programs, over $300,000 has been invested to our programs. Same thing with baseball and softball equipment, tackle football equipment. We're safer with our AEDs, our basketball programs, Layton Fest, our Electric Light Parade, and even Liberty Days. Our arts facilities have been improved with RAMP funding. Our Ed Kenley Amphitheater and Plaza, over $1.2 million has been funded to help improve that, as well as different art sculptures, our Arts in the Park programs, the LED screen at the Ed Kenley Amphitheater. And our arts programs have received over $1 million with those 113 grants. We see everything from community theater, Broadway stars, art competitions, rock music, classical music, folk music, fun music, film festivals, all the fun arts programs. 40 grants have gone to the museum, which includes facilities like the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall replica, the War Dog statue, different display cases, and we have really important ongoing projects like our oral history reports and archival and collections digitization. And our parks facilities are pickleball courts, shade structures, pedestrian lighting, our holiday lights display, the beautiful round pavilion out in Commons Park, and a lot of different playgrounds. Everyone loves our Rocket Park out in Chapel Park. So as we wrap it up, I just want to say this past decade of RAMP has been more than about numbers or projects. It's been about building a better Layton together. These successes are only possible because of the support of our City Council and our partnering organizations and arts organizations. And to the residents who voted to invest in our community. On behalf of everyone who has benefited from a trail, concert, playground, art piece, or program, thank you, RAMP. Any questions?
No, well presented. Council, do you have any questions or comments? I know that this is a consent item, but however, this is our opportunity to accept any public comments. So I really would like to open it up for anyone here who would wish to comment regarding our RAMP our RAMP reauthorization. Sorry. Sure. Just make sure you state your name and your city.
Jory Argyle, I'm a Layton resident as well. I just want to speak up for RAMP. I think it's amazing. I've said for a while now, I think it's one of the best things that happened to Layton in decades. And one of the things I look at when I think about RAMP is I think about the money actually brings into our city. So people don't come here to go to concerts and they don't come in, go to a concert and leave. They don't come in, go to plays and then leave. They don't come in, go to our parks and leave. But they come in, they go to all those places and they buy food, they buy fuel, they buy all these things while they're here. So not only is it benefiting our city through what we benefit through the arts and the parks, but it's also benefiting our city because we're getting additional income because of it. And I think that's a point a lot of people don't look at. They just hear tax, which it's such a nominal tax. It's tiny, and it doesn't affect essential life. But all the additional, the indirect benefits it brings to our city are huge. And so, again, I think what we saw today is gigantic. It's amazing. But then looking at the indirect benefits, too, I just hope that people see that and want to kind of share with that. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'll make one clarification here, just so you know that when we speak of the food, it's not on the grocery store foods. It's more on your prepared foods and that folks really from outside of Layton generally come here and kind of enjoy our fine restaurants and that. And also excluded from that is gasoline as well. So, but regardless, it's been a great past 10 years. You can see how well the city has benefited from it. And quite honestly, there's a lot of programming and facilities that we were able to build that otherwise it might not have come about yet. It would have taken us longer to be able to fund it. So thank you to all the residents that have in the past supported this initiative, and I hope going forward that they'll also consider to mark the box with a yes. So, sure.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to reiterate that this is a 1 penny out of every $10 in sales tax spent here in the city. So that means spent not just by those of us who live here, but also the people who come to visit. And then lastly, just to remind all of us of all of the things that make us feel like we're at home. A lot of these have been funded by the RAMP tax. And I know tax is a scary, ugly word, but if this were not reauthorized, you would not see $17 million in your pocket. You would see 1 penny for every $10. And so for something that is such a small amount to our everyday life, to be able to provide these types of services and programs, I think is a really awesome tool, and I'm thankful that we have it. Just the Parks and Rec alone help me and many other parents throughout the city who like to put their kids in every single rec opportunity to see what sticks and what doesn't. without having to spend too much money. So thanks, Ramp.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else? If not, I'll go ahead and move on then to item number B of our consent items, which is the plat amendment, and Mr. Weston Apolloni is going to present this item to us.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Before you tonight is plat amendment for the YAG commercial subdivision. This is located on Main Street, in between Main Street and I-15, and just to the south is, and you can see in the purple, is our MUTOD, which is a mixed-use transit-oriented zone, which is borders this. The development proposed is in red. The purpose for the amendment is for two existing subdivision to modify two existing subdivisions to create a new commercial subdivision. This is modifying the HIP and the Gill subdivisions, to create a two-lot new commercial subdivision. So in this area, there's been a previous, I'll go back here, a building here, which is an office building, Pace's drive-through, and the old Ramblin' Roads. These two buildings have been demolished. Pace's drive-through will stay. This is a storage unit area. This has been demolished as well. The Pace's drive-through will stay located on this lot here, and the remaining lot will be a part of the subdivision lot that will be for the new dealership. The purpose and intent is to put in a new young Kia dealership. On September 9th, 2025, the Planning Commission voted unanimously, on April 22nd, 2025, the Planning Commission granted to approve a conditional use permit for the car dealership. And on September 9th, 2025, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend the City Council approve this plat amendment, the YAG Commercial Subdivision Phase 1, subject to meeting all city requirements. Staff supports the recommendations of the Planning Commission. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, Council, any questions?
Ma'am, please. I have a question, Weston. Could you speak to the need for conditional use in this area? So like what the zone is and what was the need for conditional use that has been approved since April?
Yeah, absolutely. So this zone is the area identified in the red, and the zone moving forward is all zone CH, which is highway commercial zone. And that requires a conditional use approval done by the Planning Commission for specific uses. One of those uses is a car dealership. So we identify specific uses that go in that may have a major impact, and we do a thorough vetting and review and recognize if there's any other additional conditional use requirements that need to be tied to that development before they're permitted and approved.
Anyone else?
Can you bring up the plat? Yeah, the lots. It's kind of a unique property line on the south side of Paces. Are these the same owner or different owners, these two lots?
Lot 101 and 102. Right. They're different owners. Lot 102 is the car dealership. And there are cross-access easements between the two lots to share getting in and getting out. I'm assuming that there was a parking agreement before. There won't be now? Just cross-access easement.
Just access, okay. Do you feel that lot is adequately sized for parking and stacking vehicles?
It is, and it meets current code.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Weston. We appreciate that. We'll go on to item number C, which is an amendment for an interlocal agreement between Layton City and the Davis County Transportation Project. And Mr. Steve Jackson will present this to us.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. It's good to be with you tonight. For your consideration is Amendment Number 1 of the Interlocal Cooperation Agreement between Layton City and Davis County for transportation project reimbursement, Resolution 2548. Back in 2023, Layton City received project money in the amount of $880,000 to assist in completing and widening the road at 3200 West and West Hillfield Road. There was a timeline placed on that, funds to be spent of January of 2025. However, there's been a few delays in completing the design and working through some details with property acquisition. So we've requested that the county extend the date of us completing the project to June 30th, 2027, and they have agreed to that. So this amendment number 1 essentially keeps all the same terms in the agreement, just extends that deadline out to June 30th of 2027. Staff recommends the council adopt Resolution 2548 and authorize the mayor to execute the amendment number 1 for the agreement. Is there any questions I can answer for the council on this?
Council, any questions?
I'll just bring up the question I asked during the work meeting, and that was, we know that the extension is due to some discussions with acquiring the property, and so I understand why there was a need to extend it, but just wondering realistically what the city's expectation is. Is it expected that it will take till June of 2027 to actually have this completed? Or what is your realistic expectation on the city side?
If all goes well, we anticipate sending this out to bid later this year with an early spring construction date, and then constructing it through the summer of 2026. So hopefully we don't need to be into that 2027 time frame. So that's the anticipation. Hopefully we're close and we're ready to move. We have the design 99% finished. We're just buttoning up some loose ends, and we'll get it out. So.
And just have the extra time in case there are any other hiccups.
Just in case something happened with the construction or something, they've granted us that extra time.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Councilman Roberts, did you still have a question? Okay. Anyone else? I think if anything, we need to extend an appreciation to the Davis County COG for willing to work with us on this, knowing that we needed that extension and they were willing to accept it. So I just want to say thanks to them. Okay, so let's go ahead and go on to item number D, which is another interlocal agreement. Excuse me, we just did D.
Yes, it's very much the same wording there, Mayor. That's why it looks the same.
Okay, go ahead and cover it.
Okay. Yeah. So, Resolution 25-49 is also an amendment number 1 to a separate interlocal agreement we have with Davis County for transportation reimbursement. This one is for project along West Hillfield Road between 3200 West and 2700 West in the same area. It's shown up there in the green on the screen. Again, we received a grant for $3.12 million from the Davis County COG in January of 2024. Again, had some delays on property acquisition and design, and so we've requested that this agreement will expire in January of 2026, and with the delay, we requested an extension to the same June 30th of 2027 timeline. The COG has graciously granted us that extension with this agreement, and so we plan to do the same schedule for this. We anticipate bidding both of these projects as one project to have the work completed by one contractor to avoid multiple contractors working in the same area, and we think that'll actually help make the project more successful. So again, the staff recommends council adopt Resolution 25-49, authorizing the mayor to execute amendment number 1 to the interlocal cooperation agreement between Layton City and Davis County for transportation project reimbursement. Is there any questions I can answer on this one?
Any questions, council? You've done a good job then.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate that. Okay, that concludes our consent items as far as being presented. So now I'll bring it back to the council to go ahead and take action on these items. And if you could, please state the purpose or the resolution number. Thank you.
just had a question. A kind of seems out of place in consent. Is that something we need to take action on? Are we accepting the comments that were made, or?
Yeah, I think it's just accepting that there was public comment, you accepted it.
Okay. Right. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we accept, that we adopt the consent items, including item A, accepting public comment regarding the ramp tax reauthorization. Item B, plat amendment of YAG Commercial Subdivision Phase 1. Item C, Resolution 25-48. And item D, Resolution 25-49.
One second.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we accept the items as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, we'll now move on to our public hearing portion of our meeting. Again, we'll have Mr. Jackson present this item to us, and it's in adopting our master transportation plan, as well as the roadway impact fees and facilities and the transportation impact fees analysis. So, Mr. Jackson.
Right. Thank you, Mayor and Council. It's good to be with you tonight. Before you, for your consideration, is the adoption of the Transportation Master Plan, Impact Fee Facilities Plan, and Transportation Impact Fee Analysis, Resolution 25-47. I want to acknowledge and recognize our consultants that helped us with this project, as well as our city staff and engineering. A lot of hard work went into this with quite a few revisions and analysis that needed to happen. So Wall Consultant Group and then Zion Public Finance also worked on the impact fee analysis for us. The current plan that the city has was created in 2017 by Horrocks Engineers. This new update, as mentioned, was Wall Consulting Group. The three components to the plan we've mentioned are the Transportation Master Plan, as you can see, TMP, and the Impact Fee Facilities Plan, IFFP, and then the Impact Fee Analysis, IFA. So what these documents do is guide the city transportation facility investment through the years 2034 and also out to 2050. As we look at the growth that inevitably is coming to the city, we want to make sure we're planning ahead and identifying areas where modifications or projects need to be done. It also supports the city growth and regional mobility in the area because it ties into not only the city's plans but also our neighboring cities and also the Wasatch Front Regional Council's transportation plans that are going through their revisions as well. So, and then it also ensures safety and accessibility and economic viability, so we don't have traffic impacts that create problems for our citizens and our city as we go throughout. So wanted to jump over to the story map real quick. This is an online story map that will be available to the public if this is adopted, that allows us to talk a little bit about how the transportation plan was put together. You can see down here there's the introduction, functional classifications, travel demand models, all of the components of this master plan. So obviously our consultant looked at our existing master plan that we had as we talked through it with them and some of the concerns and needs that needed to be updated in it. They used the information from that with our planning department to identify population growth. So we have a population, obviously back in 1990 we were 41,000. We're currently just over 80,000, closer to 85,000, and we plan to continue to grow. That's what the items that you see throughout the city are as people develop and people want to live here. It's a great place to be. So we classify each one of the roads in the city. Obviously some roads are wider than others because they carry more capacity. They allow people to get around differently, and so we have to find a balance between mobility and land access. So local roads, allow a lot greater access to the facilities that are along them, whereas arterials are a little bit less accessible, but they have higher mobility on them. So you can see in the maps here the color coordination, and it's very interactive. When you're on the website, you'll be able to click on these and see the different functional classifications of each one of the roads. Some of the roads, again, the principal arterials, this is a fairly large roadway. We don't have, these are usually state roads in our city, 124 feet wide, 7 lanes of travel with shoulders. But the important part to that is that we have some options with those shoulders to be able to do side treatments, bike lanes, shared use paths, other things like that as we look at the plans and the different components to the way that this plan has been put together. So this slide shows more of the arterial roads that we have: West Hillfield Road, 2700 West, Antelope Drive, Gordon Avenue, Highway 193. And then as you get into the minor arterials, that's more like sections of Gordon Avenue, Gentile Street, Fairfield, Fort Lane. And then as you drop even further, you drop into collector roads, which are, I'll click on this one here. They help people get from the neighborhoods, the local roads, into the, collectors, and then the collectors to the arterials, right? So, again, this is what the configuration could be for a 66-foot right-of-way, where you'd have a center turn lane with drive lanes and then 5-foot shoulders on it, but also the ability to do side treatments as needed per the other plans that we have. So our consultant looks at the level of service. They look at the level of service and say, what is an acceptable level of service? The industry standard is level of service D. I know that doesn't sound great when you're talking about grades, but unfortunately engineers are not very creative as we go through the system. And so A through F is what it is. Level of service D means that most times of the day you'll see normal flows, but then during the peak hours you're going to see a little bit heavier traffic, maybe a little bit of delay, but not something that is gridlocked that you just are stuck in traffic for hours. So they analyze that with the travel demand model, and they come up with the current conditions. You can see anything that's yellow or red is an area that is a D or below. Everything else in green is above the D. So currently right now, fairly decent, configuration of our roads and how we're doing currently. And then we look at future growth and the potential for what would be as the city grows into 2034. So if I slide this over on the screen here, it shows what would occur if we didn't do any transportation investment in the city, what the roadways would look like as far as the level of service. And if I slide it over here to the left, it shows what would be the configuration for the level of service if we start to do the things that are proposed in this plan. So you can see it allows us to help manage and identify areas where growth will occur and potentially create traffic congestion that we can then mitigate through different kinds of projects. And then again, we have a map for 2050. So as you slide it to the right here, the no build configuration doesn't look great at all. And then the build configuration obviously shows that there are going to be some roads that will be a level of service D during those peak times, but nothing in the failing categories that we would need to address for the most part. So what do they do with all that information? They come back and they analyze where there might be potential issues, and they look at roadway projects that would be able to be completed to help with some of those issues. And so they broke that out into 3 phases for us, basically 10-year windows. So phase 1 is everything in the red. It shows the next 10 years, and then phase 2 would be 2034 and beyond, and phase 3 is the section behind that. So again, there's a list of projects here that I won't go through every one of them, but as we look at it, they look at roadway projects. A lot of those contain widenings or improvements, like there would be potential for taking care of maybe unimproved roads that only have a gravel shoulder, things like that. Operations would be reconfiguring the roadways to handle more travel lanes, striping, things like that would help with all of those items. And then they looked at intersections, and they said, where are the intersections going to need projects? A lot of these are signals or what they call hot crossings, pedestrian hybrid beacons. So you can see there's several of those on the project list that need to be completed in the next 10 year and beyond. And then they also took a look at public transit. So we talked with UTA and we said, what are your plans? And they provided us with this 5-year service plan. So as part of this plan and in the documentation, you can see that there are considerations for what transit needs would be in the city. We're excited to see UTA's plans for Layton in the next 5 years. We're Also excited to see if we can get some expansion as we move out west and see development out in those areas. So, and then we also took into consideration our recently adopted active transportation plan. So bike lanes and trails and all of those things in that plan are also part of the projects that are proposed. And so as we see a project need on one of these plans, we can coordinate them and try and implement them as best we can as we move forward as the demand increases throughout the city. So, and then they also performed a safety analysis for us where they looked at the last 5 full years of crash data in the city. You can see the hotspot density diagram here. It talks about, well, you can see along I-15, along the major roadway corridors, you can see it's a little bit more, there's more crashes. Obviously, those roads carry a lot more traffic, a lot more vehicular things, and so they've actually recommended a few items for us to look at where we could maybe look at certain restrictions. We could look at pedestrian, leading intervals so that we can, allow pedestrians to cross the road before the cars are crossing, things like that. So overall, it's a very comprehensive plan. Helps us guide us as to which projects we need to do. As we jump back over to the presentation for a second, we then take that information and we use it to create what's called the Impact Fee Facilities Plan. So as the city grows, the state has allowed us through the Impact Fee Act to charge impact fees to new development that comes into the city. So as we take a look at the impact fees, it identifies roadways that are needed to accommodate anticipated development. It only allows us to include growth-related projects, no existing deficiencies. It complies with the Utah Code for the Impact Fee Act, and it's focused on the 10 years of capital improvements that would be needed as well. The anticipated growth in the city in the next 10 years is just over 122,000 average daily trips. Based on that analysis, we look at that and we say, what do we need to do to be able to, keep our roads at a level of service D or better? So inside that Impact Fee Facilities Plan, there's 13 projects with a total cost of $71 million. 11.4 million of that are impact fee eligible, or 12.9 when you factor in inflationary costs. One of the items to note is that there's about $31 million worth of outside funding that we anticipate trying to seek in order to help pay for some of these projects, and then the city would be able or would need to cover the remaining amounts of that through the city project funds, and then eventually be able to recoup the impact fees that are spent prior to that 10-year growth window. On the intersection plans, there's 14 projects with $6.2 million in cost. Again, about $2 million of that would be outside funding, and then the rest would be impact fee eligible at the $4.3 million. So what do we do with that? That's part 2. Part 3 is the impact fee analysis. So we take that information from the Impact Fee Facilities Plan and we calculate out what the impact fee should be charged on new development as they come into the city. It calculates the fee to ensure that new development pays their proportionate share. Again, complies with the Impact Fee Act. The impact fees are based on the ADT rather than the PM peak traffic. We talked about that a lot in our work meeting last meeting, and talked about what we can do with the plan or with the funds. We have to spend it on items on the list, and they have to be spent or encumbered within 6 years after the fee is paid. We use what's called the ITE codes, which is the Institute of Transportation Engineers code for trip generation, categorizing different uses. They've done studies across the country to determine what uses generate what kind of traffic. The impact fees can be implemented 90 days following an adoption by the City Council, and so that we would ask you to consider is that if this is adopted, that then you also adopt the impact fees for implementation 90 days following this meeting. That would be most likely best to just set the January 5th of 2026 date, as that is the first Monday after the 90-day window. So as you look at all those numbers, all of the money that needs to be collected to spend on these projects, the calculation comes out to $173.37 in per trip, so per daily trip that is generated. So you do the math on that of the 122,414 average daily trips, and this is how it breaks out. So there are existing capacities in our system that we're allowed to charge for. So we've spent money on projects that have created capacity that developers are then using for growth. The new roadways is $105, and then the intersections is about $35 of that. And then there's a little bit of a fund balance, so they get a credit. So that's how the number comes out. With that, you take the trip generation manual, and then you put in here the land use codes, and we work closely with our community and economic development department to ensure that the codes that we're using are reflective of the development that we anticipate or that we are currently seeing in the city. And then as you calculate that out, basically, just for time's sake here, you take this 173.37, you multiply it by this adjusted trip rate in this column, and that's the number that you get for the maximum or proposed maximum fee. So you can see for a single family home, it would be about $1,600 that we would charge for that dwelling unit. That's slightly down from the last rendition that we did. There's less projects in this 10-year window than there was in the past, but just kind of a comparison there for you. So you can see there's a long list of these. Want to make sure that we're trying to be fair and equitable with everybody that comes into the city. And so we've tried to be comprehensive in the work that we've done in order to make sure that we're meeting all those demands. I do want to point out as well, there is a procedure in our current ordinances, and it's per state code that there is an appeal process. If somebody doesn't agree with their fee, they can come in and actually appeal that fee based on actual trip generation data. If their business, if they feel like it doesn't reflect what their business is actually doing, don't have a lot of those, but it is an option for somebody if they feel like they don't fit into one of these categories. So with that, staff obviously recommends the adoption of the Resolution 2547, authorizing the Transportation Master Plan, Impact Fee Facilities Plan, and Transportation Impact Fee Analysis to be adopted, with the caveat that the impact fees do not go into effect until January 5th of 2026. After the council takes public comments on this, I'd be happy to answer any questions now or however you'd like to do that, Mayor. So.
Okay. Let me start out with council. Do you have any additional questions on this at all?
Question.
Okay, Mayor. Councilman Mayor.
Maybe a couple questions. Once again, thanks for this work. It's fascinating analysis. We just talked about widening, or the project to widen Hillfield Road out west. Mm-hmm. Is that going to move that part of it up a category to the rest of the arterial? I think it stopped and then.
Yeah, basically the plan was that is currently a 3-lane facility. It could go up to the 5-lane eventually. Yeah.
And then second, funding. So you all do a great job of finding grants and everywhere, federal, state, UDOT, the COG, Davis County, all of everywhere. After all that's said and done, it doesn't seem like and we've been in budget meetings, it doesn't seem like, how do we fund our roads? I mean, moving forward, the gas tax isn't helping, it's not keeping up. Your thoughts on funding moving forward?
Honestly, as we look at these costs and the way that they're continuing to go, we need to do everything we can to go get funding from any outside source that we can find. But one of the things that honestly the city needs to consider is whether or not a transportation utility fee is appropriate to look at. Several cities have used those to bridge that gap that's there. One of the things that I want to point out is that the funding that we can't collect in impact fees, but we have to spend to build the road. You have to build a road in 2 lanes at a time, right? You don't build it in half a lane or any of that stuff. So there is money that we're spending as a city that then we can recoup in future impact fee analysis that we do. That's what that buy-in cost line is. So developers will eventually end up need to pay whatever the capacity is that they're bringing in or using in the system. But the way that the impact fee laws changed a few years ago requires that we can only functionally use the next 10 years worth of impact fee money.
So the 2-lane at a time out right off of the Parkway so where the Parkway meets 2700 West.
Yes.
That's only 2 lanes right now. That's
yes.
what you're talking about. That the next development happens on
we'll
on the
finish
west
that
side
road
and finish.
full width. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else, sir? If not, then council, I would ask for a motion to open up our public hearing.
Madam Mayor, I move that we open the public hearing to discuss the adoption of the Transportation Master Plan, Resolution 25-47.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the public hearing is now open, so if anyone in the audience wishes to address us regarding this one particular item, you're more than welcome to. Once again, state your name and what city you're from up here at the mic.
Jory Argyle, West Layton. Guess I got up here more than I planned today. I actually have a couple questions. I'm a huge fan, a huge proponent for transportation. I think anything we can do to improve transportation is high value. I'm happy to see improvements to our east-west travel, which has failed a lot of other cities in Utah. So that's great to see. One question I have, looking at the impact fee, has there been cross-collaboration with the utilities group? Have we looked at any opportunities to tap into the opportunity to get water, wastewater, stormwater, basically those other utilities that are allowed to do that, brought in as well, so that then when we are building our roads, tearing up, digging down, putting in new road base and all that, we're able to go the extra 5 feet or 10 feet and fix our utilities, or, expand them to adapt for the growth. So I'm just curious if there's been any discussion or look at that. And if not, is that something that the city could do at a later time to add on with the impact fees? Thanks.
Thank you. I think what we'll do is ask if there's anyone else, any more questions, and then we can address them all at once. Okay. I don't think we have any more questions, so Mr. Jackson, do you want to go ahead and answer that one since that's right in your department?
Thank you for that question. Yes, the answer to that is that we actually do have impact fees for storm drain, water. We're discussing a sewer impact fee that we're planning to bring back to the City Council to review as well. In the past, we haven't needed one of those. With the growth we're seeing, we might need to consider that. But yes, we do try to make sure that on every project that we have in the city, we're judicious with what we do, and if we're going to remove the pavement on a road, we certainly want to look at those utilities, especially existing ones, and make sure that we're replacing those so that we don't cut a brand new road that is constructed. A lot of these projects are either growth related, so they're widening, so it's existing pavement or whatnot, but any brand new road, obviously we would put brand new utilities in, and any existing road, we would look at the condition of those before we ended up doing the project and collaborate on the budgeting to request the appropriate funding for that. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Okay. If there's no other comments, then I'll go ahead and bring it back to the council for action. So they'll need to close the public hearing and then take action on Resolution 25-47.
Madam Mayor, I move that we first close the public hearing and adopt Resolution 25-47, the adoption of the Transportation Master Plan, Roadway Impact Fees, Facilities Plan, and Transportation Impact Fee Analysis, with the effective date is January 5th, 2026, for the impact fees.
Okay, perfect.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved in second that we adopt the plan as presented. Being that this is a public hearing item, I'll do a roll call vote on this. Start out with Councilmember Roberts.
Yes.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
And Councilmember Smith-Edmondson.
Just before I vote, I just want to thank Steve and crew for putting that plan together. I did ask in the work meeting that this would be one of those plans that would be accessible on the city site or from the city site so the public has access to it. And Steve confirmed that even the interactivity of that would be accessible to the public, which is really awesome. We get a lot of questions about traffic and roads and all of the things. And I did highlight last meeting that yellow D that says unstable, that seems to be the standard, maybe needs to have a new name because D and yellow doesn't look very good to people when they're trying to drive. But this is a resource that will help all of us be able to see like what's happening and how things are moving. So with that, I vote aye.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a unanimous vote, so the master plan has been accepted. That's also the last item on our agenda for tonight. And at the same time, I do want to acknowledge the fact that I did have 2 requests for council members to not be present tonight due to personal information that they needed to deal with. So with that, I do want to excuse them. And we've got a group of boys in the back here. I'm just curious. Why don't you have a spokesman come up and tell us your purpose of being here and what you've learned tonight or whatever. All right, we got the brave one here. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. We've never met before, but I appreciate the council and everything you guys do. We are a youth group from the city. We just live up near Gordon Avenue, where part of the master plan of the community is planned in some empty lots up there. So we brought the boys down to see a city council meeting. It's actually my first city council meeting as well. So not a lot of comments from us, but a lot of questions as far as how it works and what's involved. So. And they weren't brave enough to come up here, so they made me do it.
Hey, the fact that you guys is here is what matters, and I appreciate you taking the leadership to kind of really educate our youth. I mean, that's one thing that we want to, we're proud of here in Layton and want to really involve our youth at all levels. So thank you. Thank you for doing that. Okay, with that, I'll look for a motion to adjourn. Mr. Thomas is not here, so somebody else gets to do it.
I move that we adjourn.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you everyone for attending tonight's meeting.